But his personal life suffered as he became addicted to drugs and partying. Despite this, in 1991, he starred in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in London's West End to rave reviews. He continued to work in theatre, meeting his partner, Angela. She helped turn his life around, and he vowed to stop the drugs as soon as his first child was born. They now have 2 children, and Jason returned to the stage in leading West End roles. Last year, Jason came 3rd in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, making him a national treasure once again. The publicity has revamped his music and acting careers.
The fantastic Jason Donovan joins us now. We talked about music and acting, but it's finally the time that you thought, I'm going to have to put all this down in a book. And it must have been quite a hard book to write, because you do lay it all there.
Well, it's raw and it's honest, and in fact I spoke to my dad the other day, and despite the fact that his only single that he released in the 70s called Hickory Holler's Tramp, I decided to call in the book Hickory Dickory Dock. He was, which we were talking about slightly before, he actually said to me, you know, it's very honest, and I think that's sort of really the only way to have approached it. I found it cathartic.
If you were asked to write your autobiography, you've got to do it, haven't you? You've got to do it, warts and all. And did you, I'm not going to ask you what you left out, but were there bits that you thought, no, that's going to hurt people, I can't put that in?
I mean, how do you put a life into, you know, a hardback? You know, I think there's 200, 300 pages there. You know, my life is sort of far deeper than any of that. But I think what you tend to see with biographies is the press are really only interested in your highs and your lows. It's what's in the middle that really makes the man or the woman or the business or the character, and that's what I tend to deal with.
A bit of a backlash in Australia, because I think they thought it was going to end up being a sort of Jason Kylie kiss and tell, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, Kylie, you know, as we've seen here, is a national treasure, and even more so. You know, she's like a sort of Princess Diana character in Australia. You know, and I was a little bit peeved at that sort of press, but it's been interesting recently having, you know, worked with her on 2 Saturdays ago doing her special, and
it was
you know, she embraced it, and she embraced the fact that I did the book at the Grand Prix sort of 9 months ago. So that just goes to show. So
she's all right with the book. I mean, you say that there's only 2. There's 2. Did you tell her what was in it?
I didn't go. You know, how's
she hasn't
this
seen
chapter?
it.
She was holding the book in the. Okay, Phil, you got that look in your. She was holding the book in the skit that we did, and refers to the autobiography, and says something along the lines, I said, I hope I'm in it. I mean, Kylie's a very busy person. I don't know whether she's taken the opportunity to read it. But nothing in there is derogatory. You know, our relationship is pretty well stated.
It was lovely to see you both together doing that sketch.
Yeah.
I think we've got a
clip of
bit of it. Have a look at this. It's really nice.
Come on.
There we go. Thanks for the
Come on,
support.
Jace. Especially for you.
Sure. To Kylie. Especially for you. Love, Jason. There we go. Perfect. Take care.
No, Jace. I was your co-star in Neighbours, and we had the big wedding and everything. Well, more to the point, we actually dated for a few years, so you must remember.
Sorry? Kylie.
Minogue.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But
really
that
nice.
dating thing, which she, I'm surprised she'd say that and do it, actually, because for a long time she hasn't acknowledged it, and for a long time that you guys didn't. You kept it very secret.
Yeah, I mean, her star has shone over many years, and I think, you know, I mean, it's quite difficult having been associated, and when you have something as strong as what Neighbours was, to sort of move away from that. She's been very lucky to develop, you know, her music career, which has a very high profile. A lot of the stuff that I've done in the last sort of 10 years, notwithstanding sort of my crashing in the car period hasn't probably equated in that level. But, you know, emotionally, I don't judge life on... success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. I have an absolutely wonderful life. I have 2 gorgeous kids. You know, and one could argue, you know, how does the 2 lives balance up at the end of the day, you know?
Well, you say that, yeah, that car crash moment
Time.
in your life, which I knew you in, and we've discussed this in the past. I'd go for lunch with you, and then the next day you couldn't remember that we'd actually been out for lunch. Now, hopefully it wasn't that dull, but,
No,
but it was a time in your life when you were in serious trouble, and this is serious trouble as in seizures, passing out in clubs, and still on what seemed to be a mission to destroy yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think the important point, if I put on my sort of political hat here, is I've moved on. I recovered. That's where the story is great. I had a lot of success very young in my life. I'd smoked cannabis early on in my life. I didn't drink till I was 29, 30 because my father, God bless him, I love him to death, is, you know, when he would drink, he'd become very aggressive. Anyone that tells you cannabis does not lead on to harder drugs, I'm sorry, it needs a rain check. It does. And so I guess if I put a funny spin on this, you know, looking at myself when I went to do Joseph, in a loincloth and a pair of white fluffy socks, listening to Nirvana records when I went home at night, thinking, what am I doing? You know, smoking cannabis, and I guess, you know, slightly growing older, looking at myself in the mirror, changing. You know, having been used to this sort of pop star, pin-up character, that psychology, what was happening with me with the face. But there's another side.
The magazine,
you know, I wanted to take sort of time out. But, you know, I would also be foolish to say to you, why did I take drugs? I took them because I liked them. I mean, it doesn't mean they're right, but...
But
you know,
like everybody, you didn't expect to be addicted.
No, I think, if I'm going to be fair, I think mine was more of a binge. When I binged hard. And when I worked hard.
Did the seizures not frighten you? I mean, the famous incident in the Viper Room at Kate Moss's 21st birthday party. Michael Hutchence was there and Johnny Depp, and it was such a horrible story to read in the papers in England the next morning and think, what's he doing? What's happened? It was scary for everybody. And for you, did it not make you think, what am I doing?
Well, I suffered a number of seizures. And when you're addicted to drugs, you can't see reality. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, as I dealt with in the first chapter of the book, I went straight back to the hotel room having checked out of the Cedars-Sinai Hospital and chopped up another line. I mean, that's what you do. There's not really an explanation to it.
But then you were brilliant. You didn't do the whole lengthy rehab business.
No.
You got yourself together when your family came along. I've
kept very fit in my life, even during those periods. And I do believe, you know, for all those people that suffer, you know, is it ADT and, you know, depression, I do believe that physical fitness is a wonderful way of overcoming. You're aware of where the reality can go. And obviously Ange and the kids were articulated the turning point.
Obviously that is a whole different, hugely positive part of your life with Angie and Gemma and Zach, which you also discuss in some fabulous pictures. It's a lovely book. There you go. It's very honest. Between the Lines, My Story Uncut is Jason's book. And thank you very much for coming in today.
Looking
Always.
so good.
Thank you. Feel good. Feel good. Thank you so much.
That's it. We've got Sarah Ferguson on the programme tomorrow. See you then. Bye now.
Bye.
For video clips, news, guest features and recipe ideas, text MORNING to 83339. It'll cost you 2 standard rate messages. Find out how the new recruits are getting on and who's in the frame for the next Bush Tucker trial. I'm a Celebrity, tonight at 9.